Hi, everyone. Erica Bustillo Adams here, board member of Fountainhead, Rhode Island, and welcome to another live community spotlight. We are thrilled today to have Dr. Ezenwayi Amaechi here to chat with us today. Ooh, there I am again. And before we get started, I just want to thank Cross Country Mortgage, our sponsor, for all the spotlights this year in 2021. And if you happen to hear some baby sounds in the background, that is my 9-week-old. So we keep it real here at Fountainhead, Rhode Island. He is in the background, so don't mind him. He can be a special guest. Before I kick it off, just want to quickly introduce our marvelous guest today. We're thrilled to have you here. And I want to just turn it over to you, Ezenwayi, and ask you to introduce yourself. Tell us a little bit about your career journey, where you're at now, and then we'll get into the questions.
Sounds good. Thank you so much for having me, and thank you so much, Fountainhead, Rhode Island, for having me. I'm so excited to be here, and I want you to know that we love babies, so no worries at all. Again, congratulations. I am Dr. Ezenwayi Amaechi. I am an associate professor of entrepreneurship at Johnson & Wales University. I teach entrepreneurship over there. I am also the founder and the executive director of Micro Enterprise Social Entrepreneurship, which is what we are here for. I am excited to be here, just to talk about this organization. Just to be sure, you wanted to know about my career, or what else did you want me to, just a quick introduction of who I am, and then we get into the question?
I think that's perfect. Yeah, and I think we can just get right into it. So you mentioned Micro Enterprise Social Entrepreneurship. Tell us more about the organization, and I'm really interested to hear about its origin story. What inspired you to create this organization?
Thank you. So Micro Enterprise Social Entrepreneurship, also known as MESENOW, because it's like that could be a mouthful. This organization is started in 2017. However, it started way before then. When I was getting my PhD, I went to the school. It's a school that is all about social change. He kept asking, what else are you going to do with this, degree? What else are you going to do in the world, to make a difference in the world with this degree? And I said to them, I know exactly what to do. And that is because I've always wanted to work with women. A few years ago, when I was still kind of starting off my career, an individual asked me this question: if money wasn't an issue, what would you do? I'd even let him finish his question, and I just said, I'll travel the world and train women. And so when this opportunity, like my school kept asking that, I'm like, yeah, I know what to do. This is what I want to do, but how, is the part that we didn't know yet. And so when I got that information, I went back to my mentor, the dissertation mentor at the time, and I said, this is what I want to do. I want to learn, kind of help women out. So how can we make this happen? She helped me formulate my question, in a way that, with my research question, in a way that we can find out, a way for me to make this happen. So my research question was, what are the barriers to women entrepreneurs in developing nations? I'm going to go back a little bit to explain that I was born in Texas. I was born in Houston, Texas, but I grew up in Nigeria. So I have roots in developing nations. And so, of course, it's good to start where you know. And at that point, at some point, I had the opportunity to work in Nigeria as an adult. So it also helped me to really be in the area and be able to get this going. So, of course, when we formulated the research question, I started pursuing that, and I decided to go back to Nigeria to conduct my research. I conducted my research in a particular state called Enugu State in the eastern part of the country, where I interviewed women in the marketplaces. So whenever you see me in any developing nation, you will find me in the marketplaces. That is where it's just me. When I'm in Mexico, I met I met an American in Mexico. She heard my voice and she's like, I know that this person is not, and she came back looking for me and we became friends in the informal market, in the marketplace in Mexico. And just no matter where I am in the world, I go there because that's where my target audience is, that's where my heart is. And so I conducted this research and we found out, the research showed that the barriers to women entrepreneurs are, the lack of training. I know you would think money, right? And yes, money is an issue, definitely is for any entrepreneur. But what good is it when you give someone money and they don't know what to do with it, or they don't know how to better use it? And so it was lack of training. When I asked them through my research and conversation with them in terms of interview or observation, the question was, how much do you make in a year, in a month, in a year, in a week? And they didn't know. That's because they didn't, they weren't taught how to do. They just kind of did it mostly in their heads, and they would forget most of them. And then through my research, I remember observing this one woman who, after she got paid for a service that she performed, she just turned around and gave the money to someone else without writing it down or anything else. So in my head, I went, oh, this is why you don't know how much you make. And so I then came back, graduated. You have to graduate first in order to save the world. It's very important. Once I was done with that, I had the opportunity, an incredible opportunity, to get a job. And so once I signed my contract, and was done with that, I headed back to Nigeria to conduct training. So part of the things I graduated, and while I was doing that, I put together a training material. Again, remember, everything that we do is research-based. I don't just give people what they want, I give them research-based information. There's a difference. And so I put together training material based on that and headed back to Nigeria the following year, because I also promised them that I was gonna be back. As I was doing the training, the research, I said to them, I know you all see a lot of people come here and get information from you. This is different. This is, you are going to see me back. And the following year I went back, signed my contract, off I went for 6 weeks, conducted research training, and 22 women showed up.
That's amazing. And could you tell me, I was just interested to hear a little bit more about what the training comprised of, because we're talking about clearly ambitious women, hardworking women who have great business potential, and all you were doing is giving them, here are the tools to help you expand what you're already doing. So I'm curious as to what those were and what they maybe found the most helpful.
Very good question. One of the biggest, the most popular training that I offer is the financial literacy training. I had a woman both in South Africa and in all of them, but I remember vividly South Africa and in Ghana, speaking in their, particularly the lady in Ghana, they can understand me in English, but she was so grateful that she had to express herself in her native language to tell me how happy she was that I left my country to come to Ghana, to come and train them and to give them this tool that they need, to be able to better themselves. Again, when it comes to learning how to be financially literate, to be able to better grow their businesses.
That's amazing. And do you have, and this is maybe connected to another question, but I'm curious maybe later about some success stories that you could share. Absolutely. But I also know that your approach, so you're giving them these tools and helping them with financial literacy, but you've also talked to me about how you holistically support them as well. So it's not just training, and I think it's key for any of us, right? It's wonderful to be given the tools, but so many of us, we all need physical support, emotional support. There's these sort of wraparound supports that we might need to make sure that we're successful, that our businesses are successful if we're an entrepreneur. So can you talk a little bit about that approach specifically, and how it helps the people you work with and really helps to lead to successful outcomes?
Absolutely. So I have I'm like thinking of where to start with the success stories because,
That's a
you
big
know, in
question.
different countries, there are lots of them. But, you know, in terms of holistic support, there is this, you know, they are so, they get to, I've had to, you know, some of these women invite me into their homes. I understand their lived experiences because that's what is different. You're right, you know, you don't just give training. And that's the thing, the relationship that I have with them is different. And so they know me, you know, they just, you know, oh, Dr. Ezenwayi from the US is coming, but it's not like this person out there, an abstract person. They actually feel like they know me, and we do have that relationship. It doesn't matter in every country. They look forward to, you know, when I come over, I come to the country and just, you know, hang out with them and understand what's going on. But that's because I've taken the time to understand them. Again, their lived experiences. Some of them have invited me to their homes. Some of them, you know, like even in their marketplaces where they do the way they do things, and just getting to understand them, you know, again, holistically, which allows me to give them that holistic training or holistic support, and I'll like even design some things that allows for that to happen. So someone would say, well, you're here all the way in the US, you only get to visit them once a year. How do you do that? That's why I also have other people boots on the ground. I have, you know, what I call train the trainer. That's another thing that is unique about us. You know, processes where I trained other people to then help out, and they visit them on a bi-weekly basis and work with them and help them, you know, to continue to train them and even offer them other sources of revenue streams. So we're not just giving them, okay, here's this training to continue to be in this line, but are you able to, you know, let's teach you how to make soap, so that even if you don't want to make one that you want to sell, you can make one that you can use in your home. That's one less thing you have to purchase it from the market. You want to learn how to bead, you know, or do other things, let's give you that. And so you continue. So, you know, some of this we've done and some we're still in, you know, in the, like a work in progress, but those are some of the ways that we do that. And of course, there's that networking opportunity where they get to meet with one another and get to know one another. Even us as entrepreneurs, as professionals, we go to networking events here. Why? Because we crave, you know, that relationship, and we want to talk with other people and, you know, talk about our careers and see how we can grow and learn from one another. I remember one time, you know, one of the second year I went back, this was in Nigeria. And, you know, I was kind of explaining to them the importance of networking. And then one lady asked a question, because I'm like, you know, it's okay, open up and ask questions and stuff. And one brave lady asked a question, and I just sat back and I watched how they just together and collectively solved her problem.
That's awesome. And
I'm using this
that's
one.
the secret sauce right there.
Yeah. You know, this one says, oh, have you called contact over there? Or that person over there, call that person. Oh, I've used this in the past. And I'm sitting there, and when they were done, because I did not want to interrupt that beautiful moment. When they were done, I said, do you see what I mean by coming together? And they're like, yeah, you're right. So that was wonderful. Other success stories, you know, in 2019, I went back, you know, I was in Nigeria, and because the Nigerian group women are the ones that I started off with, you know, because that's where I did the research. So they've been around for a while. And after being with them for a few years, I said, okay, it's time to kind of test out something. You've been training, you've been meeting, you've been doing all these things. And so I chose a few of them, about 3 or 4 of them, and I decided to offer up to $300 in loan to them. And so I gave it to 3 women. One sold, like she made, or makes, excuse me, Nigerian clothing, African clothing. And the other one makes food that she sells to people, and the other one sells secondhand or like thrift, like type of, you know, used clothing. And so I will tell you about the first 2 because of time. The one in that makes the Nigerian clothing has, you know, when you're making clothing, those type of clothing, you need what they call like linen. to be able to help, to make the entire clothes and it just looks good and stuff. And you want colors that complement the clothes. And so when people give her, in the past, when people would give her the, their material to sew for her, she would say, okay, you need this and you need that and give me money. You either go and buy it and bring it to me, or you give me money, I'll go and buy it and bring it, and then use it. And so what happened is that by doing that, she's, it takes her time. She takes time out of other things that she's doing. And then she's also having to go do things one at a time. So when I gave her the money for the loan, she went and bought it in different colors, a bunch of them, where she now has it, or it's in her store. When you come to the place and you give the clothes, you can choose which one that you want. And so a few things happens. She's given better customer service, which we teach, right? We teach customer service and marketing relations and all that stuff. She's saving time. Yeah. And then she's also making a little tiny profit off of it because, it's easier for them to buy it from they're supposed to go and to get it for themselves. So that's an example. And then the lady with the food, by the time she's done with the food, making the food, they're already calling her. So in the past, she would, by the time she gets to like halfway, the food is done. So the money I gave to her, was to make a little bit more so that she can reach her customers and they are not, kind of disappointed that they don't get the food that she's making, that they've been waiting for, before she gets to them.
So really helping them build inventory and a whole, infrastructure for their businesses.
Absolutely.
That's amazing. I could talk to you about this all day. I want to hear a little bit about what your plans are for 2022. I know when we talked earlier this year, you were telling me about your plans for the summer and expanding MESENOW. So I'd love to hear a little bit about that.
It's still in the works. So the plan, of course, our vision is to create an ecosystem of women and youth entrepreneurs in developing nations. And so we want to go beyond Ghana, because Nigeria and Ghana, right now we have 39 women and one man. Yes, one man in Ghana who also receive microloans and training and all these different things that I've mentioned about Nigeria. And so that's happening. And we also have youth that we've trained and worked with who have, I kind of gave what I call the business of doing business, and have the before and after survey from them, and just listening reading what they got from this training is just mind blowing. And I'm very, very happy to know that we're doing something like that. So the goal is to continue to do in other places. My young colleague in Ghana, who is doing an incredible work over there, said she's shared with me, she has friends in other parts of the other countries where she would bring them on, and we will also train them to do the same thing in their various countries. So that is the goal, is to go over there. This type of work is a hard type of work. Mm. It is, you have to want to do it. And so we need human resources, people who want to do this because they want to make a difference in people's lives. And so those are the type of people we're looking for when we go into these other countries and to work with.
That's wonderful. And I love the train the trainer model too, because what you're really doing is that, as you were saying, like creating this network that then expands, and then people are, and these women and one man, they're able to pass that on, and they're able to talk to their children about it. And so there's this wonderful ripple effect. I know we're getting close to time, but I'd love to hear a little bit about, for folks watching and listening in the Fountainhead Round community that is probably feeling super inspired, hearing about all this, or who wants to get involved. How can they do so? What are your areas of need? How can our community really get involved with the work that you're doing?
Very good. I just want to go back because I've been saying women and youth, and then all of a sudden I mentioned the man. I asked my young colleague, I said, how did he She said, he just showed up. He does whatever he's supposed to do. He's a very willing person, but it turns out he's a widower who was left with 4 children, and so he needs the same thing that the women need. And and he's been so grateful for the opportunity that we've given to them, to him and all the women. Again, with the microloans that they receive, they get and they've just been 100% repayment rate. Just incredibly grateful for the opportunity, and they're asking, can we get more? Please give us more. So, and of course, all these things, I'm self-funded, so I am working on helping and to the best of my ability. So I'm working on that as well. But in terms of what we need, I mentioned human resources, and I mentioned that this is a hard work. You cannot, you're gonna do this. People do this because they want to do it. Stateside, I would greatly appreciate someone, someone who is in, can do taxes, or a lawyer, but have the knowledge of benefits corporation knowledge, because that's what we are. And if you even have an international background, the better. That way, it does help me a lot. But someone who can be able to come alongside and kind of explain some things that I don't think I quite understand. I've read, to the best of my abilities, but sometimes it's all I needed to do was check a box. And if I had done it when I was filling the application, it would have made things a lot easier, as opposed to, wait, having to do it later on. So that's one of the things. And then, it is, when you go to MESENOW.com, you find more information on how to also get involved, and so please do visit our website and you'll see more information on how to get involved.
It's MESENOW.com, is that right?
Yes, MESENOW.com.
Awesome. And we will share that in the Facebook via email if you didn't quite get that. Are there any closing thoughts, anything else you'd like to share with our community, about your work, or that you think our community should know about what you're doing?
First of all, I want to thank you for this opportunity. I am incredibly grateful for it. Thank you so much. In terms of just, people often ask, how do you do this full time and do this one? Because this is also, work on its own. I actually draw my energy from doing this. The stories, I have, like I said, when you ask me about success stories, I have a bunch of them. A lot from Ghana, some more from Nigeria, that I would love to share about what we've done, because I love doing what I do. I love, seeing these people, do well. So if we can be able to get the resources that we need, we would like to, expand in other places. So if anyone knows connections, again, of people in other developing nations, and no, not just, I know I mentioned, some countries in Africa. That is because that's just, I started in that area. I mentioned Mexico. I've been to Mexico, Dominican Republic. I've been to South Africa, Rwanda. So we've been to all these places. The goal is, again, developing nations. So anyway, if you have connections, and now that you've kind of understood what we're looking for, and you think that we can, that you can be able to help in that way, please reach out. I'll greatly appreciate it.
Well, thank you so much, Ezenwayi. It was so wonderful talking to you. And please go check out MESENOW.com, everyone, and learn more, and get connected, because I think what you're doing is really incredible. I don't know how you do that with a full-time job either. But thank you again. And we'll see you back here at Fountainhead, Rhode Island community for the next spotlight. And thanks so much. We'll see you soon.